All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. So we have some stuff we need to go through because we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks, and I know some of you might have some questions about assignment information, so you can ask those things in the next 10 minutes. We'll go over a review of the syllabus, schedule, assignment expectations. Then we're going to go over the wheel today, and then we're going to go over relationships, effort, and I believe traveling in space, so spatial awareness. So we'll be looking at 3 main categories today. What's up, Anthony? Have you filled out a Part Q for me? You have in a different class? Okay. So, did anyone try to open up any of the chapters? And did it work? Okay. I wish y'all, or at least somebody would have told me that because they weren't working. So it means that nobody was actually even trying to look at the PowerPoints. So, that's good to know. Now I know where to start, right? So you have 3 chapters in Module 1 and 3 chapters in Module 2. And I have some sheets for you to look at as well. They should be able to open up. I apologize if they weren't able to open up, but they should be good to go. Remember, Module 1 and Module 2 is going to be the content for the quizzes. They are open notebook, so you will have time to look and see what the answer is. I'm not too worried about that. I just want you to make sure that you know that information from Modules 1 through 6, okay? We're going to talk about some skill themes today and the wheel. We go to our schedule. We are at week 4. Okay, space awareness, effort, and relationships. I am going to predominantly teach you the skill theme approach, and then we're going to apply that in class. So we're going to get up and move today, and we're going to spend a little time lecturing, more time applying these concepts and what they mean. Because when you go and teach at Cape Fear Elementary, I want you to have some good skills and knowledge before you go teach. So you know, I want you to be able to go there tomorrow and be able to teach by way of what you learned today. Okay, I want you to feel comfortable teaching. Now, you're going to be working with kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Kindergartners are tiny, okay? They don't take up a lot of space. They need to find their own personal space, and then we need to make sure that they're not running into each other and stuff like that. So a lot of it is just, can they find personal space, and can they move around general space without bumping into anybody, okay? And so we'll talk about space awareness, effort, and relationships today as it applies to the skill themes. The skill themes are movement concepts, and these concepts and skill themes can be used over a long period of time or units. Okay, so you might have 3 to 4 weeks of space awareness, effort, and relationship for kindergartners on their first month of class. And then you might go into traveling, chasing, and fleeing for 3 weeks. And then it might be bending, stretching, and curling for 3 weeks. Then you go into jumping, landing, balancing, and transferring of weight. And so you can use these themes for your skill units that you teach, okay? And we're going to go over examples of what this looks like in a full entire year scope and sequence, what this looks like in lesson planning, but those are for later topics and dates. So we'll go over that on other days. Today, we'll talk about the wheel, the information on some of these packets as well. So let's just first start with the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and give everyone a wheel. See if that even pops up. Take one, pass it down. Then any extras just turn into me. All right, so this is the wheel of the skill theme approach. All this content I'm providing you is from the Graham's Children's Moving book. So if you plan on teaching at the elementary level, you'll want to be really familiar with everything in this wheel. This wheel gives you lots of options for teaching. And we're going to go over this entire wheel this entire semester. Okay? If you look at the outside of the wheel, it says relationships, effort, and space awareness. So that is today's lesson plan. Okay? So if we go back here, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Next week, we'll be talking about traveling, chasing, and fleeing. Following that, bending, stretching, and curling. And we'll talk a little bit about each little segment that's in here, okay? So first, we'll talk about spatial awareness. There are location, so there's self-space, finding your own space. There's general space, which is the playing environment, okay? Up, down, forward, back, right and left, counterclockwise and counterclockwise. So those are the directions we can give. So up, down, okay, forward, backward, left, right, and then clockwise. I believe this is, let's see, clockwise. Yeah, this would be clockwise, and then counterclockwise, okay? So I wouldn't tell someone to turn right. I would tell them to turn counterclockwise or clockwise. And we want our elementary students to understand these relationships, these efforts, and these spatial awareness. So we have levels. Low is underneath the hips. Middle is underneath the shoulders, and high is above the shoulders. So those are different levels we can work in. If I am going for a serve in tennis, what level am I at? High level, right? If I'm at a push-up, what level am I at? Low. Good, good. Okay. We have different pathways. We can do straight pathway, curve pathway, and then you have zigzag pathway. Okay, sudden movement, sudden changes. You have extensions, which are large or small, far and near. And then if we look at relationships, you have of body parts. Okay, so you can make a round body part. You can make a narrow body part. You can do twisted body parts. Symmetrical, non-symmetrical. Okay, over and under, going over a hula hoop, going under somebody in a downward dog position. On and off, stepping on a poly spot, stepping off a poly spot, in front or behind, moving in front of something, behind something, alongside or through, meeting and parting, surrounding an object, going around an object, going alongside an object. And then with people, there can be leading and following. So I can get everyone, not right now, I could have everyone in general space, grab a partner and say, all right, one leader, one follower. I want the leader to pick a locomotor skill, and I want the follower to follow the leader. And then I'm going to switch every 30 seconds. And that could be a 5-minute game if you do different movements. Like, okay, I want you to challenge yourself. Do a different movement. Instead of skipping, instead of hopping, maybe it's crawling, maybe it's something else. You can do that stuff. You can mirror somebody. You can match somebody. You can do something in unison, so skip together. You can do something in contrast. Someone runs fast, the other person would run slow. Okay. With people, So with people, we have between groups. We can do stuff between groups, partners. You can do things alone, and alone in general space or in a mass. Okay. Looking at effort. So how the body moves, we can move fast. So time, we can run really fast or really slow. Force, we can use really strong force or really light force. And flow is bound and free. So a zigzag, would that be a bound or free flow? Zigzag. If I'm going to zigzag, is this bound or free flow, you think? Bound. Yep. Free flow would just be like, I want you to just pretend that you're in the crowd and you're going for your favorite team and you're just going crazy. That would be more free flow. There's really no kind of need to like do one thing or another. So we're going to be looking at spatial awareness, relationships, and effort today. So in your modules, you'll see that I have some chapters you'll be looking at. The chapters are correlated to your quizzes. What I do have today for you is a packet, and this packet is going to go over space awareness, relationships, and effort. And they're going to be all the games from Graham's book. So I read the book. It took me about 4 hours to put all this information on this sheet. So I did my due diligence, and I'm trying to prepare you to be successful at Cape Fear. And one way I can do that is giving you the resources, one, directly from the book, not making things up, right? And two, using this wheel so you understand relationships, spatial awareness, and effort. Because Dr. Chris teaches those things in units, like I think they're doing jumping and landing right now, or jumping unit. So that's something we will eventually go over, but I want to go over starting with what you would do with a kindergarten class. So the first thing we want to do with kindergartners is make sure, one, can they create self-space? Can they get into a space where they're not next to anybody? Okay? You can be a 1, 2, or 3 at that, right? I could assess my students. Okay, I could assess my students. I could put their names here. I could put self-space, SP, and I could put a student's name, and I could put a 1 to 3 here. Okay, and I could say 3. 3 might mean what? They keep good space. They don't bump into anybody. Okay, 2 might be that they can't find that space, or maybe that they're running into people occasionally, and then maybe 1 would be that they can't find the self space, or all they do is bump into people. So as educators, we have to not only be able to teach the skill themes, but then also assess them in a way that's easy to do for us. We want to know, can they find self space, or can they also move around in general space? And for the most part, you'll be able to see the individuals or students that can't keep the self space, so it'll be kind of easy to identify those. And then for individuals that get that self space, it'll be obviously just 3s for them. So you can create little rubrics or checklists for each skill that you teach in elementary PE. So general space, can they move around in general space without bumping into each other? Can they perform movements in games without running into each other? Can they follow the rules? That type of thing, okay? We look at the psychomotor, affective, and cognitive domains. So what domain do you think space awareness would follow in suit? Would that be, what's that? So you have to know, of course, where the self space is. Psychomotor, yes. I would say it's a little bit of affective and psychomotor. Can they listen to your rules? That would be more affective. Can they find that self space and be cooperative? That would be affective. And yes, that can also be psychomotor. So some things can kind of carry over depending on what you're looking at. So we're going to look at a lot of these different skills today. But before we do that, I want you to also understand where you can get information beside me, beside Graham's book that we're using, beside the wheel. And so there's lots of different places you can find elementary games. So if you're going to plan or teach at Cape Fear and he says you can teach whatever you want, and you're like, well, what should I teach? Where should I look? I mean, I can give you ideas. You're going to get ideas from class. But there's a lot of really good sources on Twitter. There's good sources on PE Central, and also Dynamic PE ASAP and YouTube. So looking at Twitter, my Twitter account, I did some retweets to show you some cool elementary PE stuff. This one is from actually my class. It was PED 3 or HFE 386